Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast. It's the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions from the worlds of TV, film, pop culture, social media, sports, everything really, depending on the guest. We talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis, and on social media, you know me as PD Beats. You'll recognize my guest from I Am Not Okay With This on Netflix. We're with Aidan Wojtak Hissong. Aidan, welcome to Popternative, man.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for having me.
No problem. I mean, right off the bat, I just wanted to say I love I Am Not Okay With This, and I love the character of Liam, who you portrayed in I Am Not Okay With This.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It must have been a fun role to kind of take on.
Honestly, Liam is he's a joy to play. He's just a joy to play because he's got so many emotions and he loves his sister, Sydney. But then again, he's very disappointed with her sometimes with the choices she makes and stuff. But he's just a joy to play.
No, absolutely. So for you specifically, when did you decide that storytelling and acting was something you wanted to do?
So I started when I was 4 or 5, and I did a play. It was just some little silly summer camp thing. Just a couple of people there did a little play. Walking on Sunshine was the title. I played the jogger number 1. And I loved it. I loved every moment of it. I made good friends. I loved it. And then my mom was looking in. There wasn't a lot going on for 5-year-olds, and I live in London, Ontario, and there wasn't a lot going on for plays, as in the way of plays for 5-year-olds. So she looked into just seeing what I could do, if there was workshops or anything, and she found something called acting. We didn't really know anything. We just thought TV shows, blah, blah, blah. And then I went for one audition. I think it was a commercial, and I loved it. I loved the environment, the people. And then I think after one thing, I was just hooked. I loved it. I continue to do it.
Absolutely. And your younger brother also acts.
He does. He's been in a few movies.
He was in a movie that I've interviewed. I don't know if you saw that when you were checking out my channel, but I interviewed 2 of his Dreamcatcher co-stars.
Rhonda Mitchell and Lynn Shay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your brother was awesome in that movie, man. I just want to say that. He played really well in that.
That was one of his... he loved being in upper state New York because he had so much fun with the cast and the crew, and he'd go fishing at the little pond, and he just loved it. So
absolutely. So you are a dual citizen. You're American. You're Canadian.
I am.
So you live in the States right now?
No, I actually live in Canada, but So my parents met working for the United Nations in Kosovo, and then I was born in Vienna, Austria. And then officially settled down maybe 5 or 6 years ago. We first moved to Toronto. We liked it, but then we were going to consider moving around the world. But then my mom was maybe she wanted to move closer to her mom and her parents who lived in London, Ontario. So we eventually settled down in London, Ontario.
Absolutely. So that's where you live right now. So do you go? Is Toronto definitely with COVID? It's people aren't really going anywhere right now. But was Toronto you probably were in Toronto for kind of meetings and work sometimes too, right?
I'm always in Toronto. Toronto's my second home.
Yeah, exactly. Do you find it interesting as kind of a Canadian actor that there are especially the comedy sphere, there's so many amazing Canadian shows out there right now. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, especially now, I think because we're all home and we're always on the couch or we're in bed watching shows. It's just such a wonderful time for acting and these shows to get noticed. But it's also, it's like a win-lose kind of situation because then you can't be filming anything and there's nothing new coming out. So once you've seen it, you've seen it. But there's a lot of good Canadian shows out right now.
Kim's Convenience, Working Moms.
This is a funny story. I know an actor from Working Moms because my brother worked with her, actually.
Awesome. That show's hilarious.
Yeah, and Kim's Convenience. Where do I get started? I love it.
So good. I'm a fan of like the workplace comedy, right? So like Kim's Convenience is like a workplace comedy, like with a store, like the grocery store, but also like the handy car rental place too, right? So you get like two aspects of it.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of other kind of sitcoms like The Office? Like, are you into that type of stuff?
Oh, I love The Office. I absolutely love The Office.
I interviewed Melora Hardin, who played Jan.
I saw that, and I was like, me and my brother were freaking out.
It's just like, I feel like like, why do you think shows like that, as an actor who's been in a show like I'm Not Okay With This, why do you think shows like The Office that have so many characters hit stride with the audience? Is because people can kind of relate to like characters like that? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, and it was such a different show. It's like The Office was something like nobody saw it coming, because it was just such the storylines and the character, their lives, and it wasn't just a show about working in an office. It wasn't a comedy about working in the office. It was behind the lives of the people, like Dwight Schrute and his life. My dream is to own a beet farm.
There was like, there was like, I'm pretty sure there was some talks a long time ago that he was gonna get his own show. I think there was a talk about that like a long time ago.
He should have. The Schrute Show.
Yeah, the Schrute Show. So I Am Not Okay With This. You have watched the show, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so we could talk about what I want to talk about. Because sometimes you never know, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I respect you for that. Yeah.
The last sequence of the last episode. OMG. Like, what do you say?
I know. It's just the show went from some, like, even when she says, I'm a boring white girl, I'm in high school, blah, blah, blah. It just goes from that to it's like
literally.
Yeah. It's the show, I mean, the story was just awesome.
Yeah.
The writers, the director, it was just such a good collaboration.
And it was based on, I believe, a graphic novel or a comic?
By Charles Foreman, yeah.
How cool is that we're making TV shows of like the comedy genre from comics? I love that.
Yeah.
But it's cool because there's other shows too, like Stumptown on ABC. That's based on a graphic novel. I did not know that. Do you kind of find that's where the industry is going now too, where we're realizing that we've had so many amazing stories that were kind of sitting there, whether it was like a graphic novel or, a short story, and people want to kind of make it into something bigger and better, so to speak?
I think now it's going to be very interesting to see how, because of COVID, how acting is going to reopen and everything, and what it's going to be like, and what the shows and movies are going to be based on. Like, I'm sure someone's going to come up with some COVID zombie apocalypse thing where everyone's sick and COVID's mutated into some zombie thing. Someone's going to come up with a show like that. But I think also it'd be nice. I think some people are going to think of, like, we just need short shows now. We need shows people just want to binge just for entertainment. So they're going to look to these books that are popular and these novels. And so it'll be very interesting to see.
I find it interesting too, because even like The Office, like that's 20, like, or I'm Not Okay With This, like they're not super long episodes.
Yeah.
In I'm Not Okay With This, your character Liam, he likes to cook.
Yes.
Do you like to cook as Aidan Wojtak Hissong?
Yes, I do. I could never create a marvel like Liam's loaded lasagna. I just never could. It's just too hard.
It wasn't even a lasagna. That's how good it was.
Exactly. It's a secret ingredient.
So that's like one of the best kind of scenes in the whole show. Let alone just like, you're just like, and she's looking at it, Cindy's looking at it, and you're just like, try it before it gets cold. And you're so like oblivious of the whole situation. Do you enjoy the quirkiness and the sometimes like, there's a little bit of like a space cadet, like he's not always there to like Liam. Did you enjoy playing that character?
I loved it. I mean, it was something new for me because I've never played that kind of sassy, quirky kid. I've always been like younger things, especially I've just been in a lot of sinking ship stuff, which is a thing in Toronto, which is a company in Toronto. I've done a lot of movies and stuff like that. And I've done a lot of serious shows. And I think the business for me was always in the serious shows. But when I got the audition for I'm Not Okay With This, I was hyped because it was something new for me. And it was such just a joy to play. It was just so fun. I mean, the cast, the crew, the places.
Yeah.
Liam. I love him.
There's like because I interviewed Greg Daniel, who plays the principal in a couple of episodes of I'm Not Okay With This. And he just said like it definitely is like one of the most unique shows that's come out on Netflix. Like it's not your typical show.
Yeah, and there's just so much story to it.
There's so much going on.
With Liam's life and Stanley's life and everything and Sid's life. It all comes together. It seems like chaos, but it all comes together to make something beautiful.
Absolutely. And so you act in I'm Not Okay With This. And I find it interesting because I feel like in this industry you have to wear many hats. Have you thought about maybe one day like writing or directing, or do you want to kind of just do acting?
I mean, for me, it'd kind of be, I'm thinking if I really want to focus on acting for my career, I'm hoping it'd be kind of a Clint Eastwood kind of thing, where I direct and produce the movies that I'm in.
Yep.
And I think it'd be something it's like Mindy Kaling in The Office.
No, absolutely. It's all goes back to The Office. I mentioned The Office. And everything goes back to The Office. This is a question that can be asked to your brother as well, but you're of course older than your brother. But here's the thing: you're an actor, but you and your brother are also kids. There's the acting life, there's the work life, right? But then there's the real life. You guys going to school and being kids. You know what I mean? How do you balance the work life and the kid life? Is it difficult sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah, because I have a very diverse group of friends, and I love them. I'll do anything for them. But I think sometimes that they don't understand that acting is a job, and it's not just some fun hobby that I do on the weekend.
No, it's a job.
It's a 9-to-5 job. And but balancing kid life and work life, even though when we filmed it in Pittsburgh, that's where I'm Not Okay With This was filmed. And I stayed in a hotel and they had a nice pool. They had a gym, they had a pool table, they had like a little lounge bar area. And I'd sit there at nighttime and I had many chaperones there because it was actually kind of funny because my brother was doing a movie at the same time I was in Pittsburgh. So I had many chaperones, friends, family. And I'd always go down to play pool with them. So after pool, I'd get like a Sprite, I'd get a wine or something. Well, I'd just sit there and chat, or I'd video chat with my friends, just check in. But school life and work life, it's hard, but it's also, sometimes it's nice because I have a tutor and I get to focus all of my time on there, and they don't have 28 students to deal with. So I get one-on-one time. Like I've signed up with Khan Academy, stuff like that, just to continue it. But yeah, it's work life and kid life. It's an interesting duo.
Another question about you being, an actor and a kid actor. Is that even the term? Like they use like child actor, kid actor. Like I don't even know what they refer to it anymore. Young actor. Like I don't even know.
I just call myself an actor.
Very true. Mm-hmm. So, well, I have to say, for my question, I gotta say kid actor. But no. But here's the thing: you're a young up and coming actor. They would say, and I find you're in an interesting situation. And I ask a lot of athletes that are your similar age this as well, because they're in the same boat as well, because you live in London, Ontario, so the London nights are a really big deal, and it's crazy, you know what I mean? You're basically in these amazing shows at a young age, and people watch you on Netflix, and there are people that kind of look up to you and say, hey, like I would love to be, an actor and work on shows like Aidan does, like very cool. But at the same time, you as Aidan Wojtak Hissong are looking up to people as well. You're still learning as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like in between a little bit where people look up to you, but you're also looking up to people. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, it's interesting because I know that my neighbor, she's younger than me. She's 10. And she's just because of, like, we always hang out and stuff. And there's an older sister and our families really like each other. And the influence that I've had on my acting, when I talk about it over there, she's just now wanted to start voice acting.
Yeah.
Because of, I don't do voice acting anymore. Just personally, it's not my thing. But I used to. But she found out that I didn't. She's like, I really want to do it.
Yeah.
And then also I have the people that I look up to. Of course, my parents I look up to, but I have my actors and the people who I look up to and I strive to be.
Yeah.
Like John Krasinski. Just,
We're going back to The Office all the time. Aidan, thank you so much for doing this interview, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It was a joy.
We're like, nothing's official yet, but we're hoping that we can see more Liam, and we're hoping there's a season 2 of I'm Not Okay With This.
Me too.
Which would be awesome. Where can people follow you on social media to keep update with everything?
I have Instagram. It's kind of hard to explain. I can't really spell it because I have a really long last name, and
But it's your name. It's official.
Aidan Wojtak Hissong.
Absolutely. Are you on Twitter as well?
I do not have Twitter. I'll probably get into that stuff. I just have to look into my stuff because social media, I mean.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword for sure. There's good things and there's not so good things. Again, thank you so much for doing the show, man. I really appreciate it. I wish you all the best.
Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Of course. Well, this has been Popternative. YouTube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Aidan Wojtak Hissong and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.